How's it going, everybody? It's Sunday. Doing something a little bit different. I'm out here in this old scrap horse trailer that I got a few months back and turned it into something. This is the first video of a series I want to do called Built from Scrap. Um, and here we go. It's a little bit about why I build things with scrap metal and use my hands. I'm a recovered addict, recovering and recovered for multiple years. Um, and I was taught growing up that, men don't cry. Uh, we don't show emotions. We're, we're put here to work, work hard, um, and the only emotion we've ever been taught is anger. And we push everything else down inside and we rinse and repeat. Um, and a lot of men don't make it out of that. So I wanted to touch on this as somebody who's been down those roads. Um, so, why I build it with my hands with this scrap metal art. It's nothing fancy. It's just something I do to quiet down my brain. Um, I was in a very bad accident back in May, and it limited my ability of being able to work 18 hours a day. Like I said, I was a recovered addict. I've been clean for a really long time, and I changed from substances to drowning myself in work 16 to 18 hours a day, nonstop, no vacations. I would get days off. I was a business owner. I would take days off and I would still work on those days. I missed a lot of my wife's two kids growing up, and I traded that addiction of substances for an addiction of work. And that worked, like most men think it works, but it didn't. As a lot of you men know, we put on that face. We're the strong ones. We're supposed to be. So I was in an accident, and that physically took my ability to work, and mentally I'm not able to drive right now. So, I was doing what the doctors said, and I felt that same old person, that anger, the only emotion we've ever known, rearing up. And that's not who we ever want to be. Any of us, man, we don't want to be angry. We love our family, we love our kids, we love the people around us. We're providers, we're doers. So I had to find something, not an out, not an escape, but something to help me with that. And I chose to start making scrap metal art. I've never done it before. I've welded for years, being a mechanic. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. We're kind of we like to say that we're robots, and we're not. We're just a system that is tired, and we do not have the diagnostic tools to help us fix that. Well, I started doing scrap metal art, and it's working with my hands. It slows everything down enough that the noise in my head stops. Or it doesn't stop, it gets quiet enough that I can take a breath, I can think. After my accident, I went through the sweats, the night terrors, feeling like something bad was going to happen when I knew it wasn't. And I still go through that. But in that moment in time where I get to sit down and I look at all of the chaos and that scrap metal and all of those parts everywhere, it's kind of like the chaos that goes on in most of our brains because of what we've been taught. Not to share our emotions, not to get upset, and be soft, I guess. So I look at all that chaos, and to me, it's like all the chaos that goes on in my head. It gives me that chance to slow down. It might be 5 minutes, and I put something together, and I'll go give it to my wife, give something to my daughter, take something up to the Napa up at the end of the road and give it to them like I did with the little tow truck that I made. You know, it's those little things. And we need, as men, to know that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to find somebody that you trust to talk about your feelings with. Everybody says, oh, just open up. Your wife might say, just open up. Your girlfriends, your friends, your mothers. And you'll see old Pops if he's there, and he doesn't say a whole lot. And just open up is a lot harder than anybody can realize. And I'm just here saying that, you know, you're not alone, and it does get better. And you can make it better. You know, like I said, I'm a recovered addict. I was in a bad wreck, and my brain doesn't quiet down all the time. And I'm not drowning myself in work. I'm not in the shop for 16 to 18 hours a day. That's pushing everything away and not dealing with the problem. And since I've been not doing that, and I do slow down my brain, it gives me that chance to think while I'm doing the scrap metal art. It has made mine and my wife's relationship stronger. So I'm able to open up to her and tell her about the things that are going on in my head as a man that I do push down inside, and voice it in a way that she understands. And I'm able to listen to her in a way that I understand. And my relationships with my children have gotten better. You know, they have the shop, North Lake Automotive. And when we're working on things, I'm not able to physically do a lot of the work, but that's my happy time. I'm with my kids, I'm doing something. And that also is that time where my brain slows down, and I sit there and I take in those moments. And when I feel like everything's overwhelming, and I feel like I'm failing as a man, because that's the only thing that we know is angry, and we're failing if we're not doing. I sit back and I look around and I look at how happy my kids are that they get more time with dad, because dad's not sinking himself in work. I look at my wife and the smile on her face because she sees how happy her children are. And she sees that I'm not working myself every day until I'm physically exhausted on top of being mentally exhausted. So, for the guys out there, you're not alone. We can get through this. It's just one day at a time. And if you or anyone you know is struggling, reach out to somebody that you trust. A lot of us men don't make it out. So you can call or text 988 if you or anybody you know is struggling and feeling like there isn't a way out. God bless you guys. We'll do a little bit more of these. I want to talk a little bit more, not so much about myself, just about how us as men, our brains work. And not as a professional. I am not a professional by any means. I'm 44 years old, and real life experience. I didn't have the best family growing up, like a lot of people in my age group didn't. And what I was taught wasn't how to be the right way, and just like everybody around my age. So I'd like to normalize us talking about our feelings, opening up. You matter, and you don't have to work all the time. You don't have to drown yourself in work. You don't have to drown yourself in substances. You're not alone. There's millions of us out there in the same position. Like I said, God bless everyone. Crash from North Lake Automotive. I'm out of here.